Hi everyone, welcome to biology class. Today's topic is DNA. Deoxyribonucleic which is commonly known as DNA, is a hereditary material that contains all the information necessary to build and maintain organism. The three-dimensional structure of DNA was proposed by molecular biologists named James Watson and Francis Crick. You may be already familiar with the term double helix. The DNA is considered as a double helical structure. Which brings me to the first point, that is, the DNA molecule is composed of two chains of nucleotides, which makes up the double helix. The term nucleotide is very important, as if the DNA is a polymer, then a nucleotide is a building block. Now, these two chains spiral around each other to form a pair of right-handed helix. If one chain is aligned 5' to 3' direction, then its partner must be aligned in 3' to 5' direction. Thus, the two chains comprising one double helix run in opposite direction. So, they are called anti-parallel. A nucleotide has three major components. They are a 5-carbon sugar ring called deoxyribose and one phosphate which is attached to this sugar ring. It is seen esterified at the 5th position of sugar ring. The phosphate group gives the DNA a very large negative charge. Then a nitrogenous base is seen which is attached to the first carbon of sugar ring. The nitrogenous base and sugar together forms a nucleoside, and all together these three components forms a nucleotide. Outside each strand forms a sugar-phosphate backbone, and it has two sets of base projecting towards the center. The bases are perpendicular to the long axis, so it looks like a spiral staircase. They are stacked on one top of another like pile of plates. There is hydrophobic interactions and van der Waals forces between the stacked planar bases. It provides stability to the entire DNA molecule. There are two types of nitrogenous base present in nucleic acid. They are pyrimidines and purines. A purine consists of two rings, where a pyrimidine has a single ring. In a DNA, there are two types of pyrimidine. They are thymine and cytosine. Uracil is seen instead of thymine in RNA. The two different purines are guanine and adenine. In a DNA, the distance from a phosphorus atom of the backbone to its central axis is 1 nanometer. So, the width of the double helix is 2 nanometer. The two strands held together by hydrogen bonds between each base of one strand to its associate bases on other strand. A pyrimidine in one chain always paired with a purine in other chain. So, a cytosine is always paired with a guanine, and they are held together by 3 hydrogen bonds. The pairing of adenine and thymine requires 2 hydrogen bonds. Thus, this bond is slightly weaker and longer than the other one. The individual hydrogen bonds are weak and they are easily broken, but the strength of the hydrogen bonds are additive. So, in a DNA, large number of hydrogen bonds hold together the strand and makes it a stable structure. Thus, the DNA becomes stable. The number of adenine is always equal to the number of thymine, and the number of guanine is equal to the number of cytosine. But the sum of adenine and thymine is not equal to the sum of guanine and cytosine. This is called chargaff's rule. On outer surface of the double helix, if you look keenly, you can see that the space between the adjacent turns of the helix, which forms a grooves, are of different width. The one is much wider and it is called major groove. The other one is much more narrow and it is called minor groove. This feature of the DNA has very important function. The protein which bind to the DNA has domains which can fit into these grooves. So, this helps in the protein binding. On every 10 residues, the double helix makes a turn and it is 3.4 nanometer of length. Because of the adenine, thymine and guanine cytosine bonds, the two strands have fixed sequence in relation to one another. So, the two chains of double helix are said to be complementary to one another. For example, this chain is complementary to the other chain. So these are the important features of a DNA. So that's it for today. If you find this video informative, please like, share and comment. And don't forget to subscribe for similar videos in the future.